Right. Everything should be working. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this live on Bridges of Light International. We are going to be together 1 hour. And I'm going to thank you that are watching this live with me, with us now. And thank you that are watching this later on. And thank you, Bridges of Light, for giving us the opportunity to connect, to share, to inquire. Hey, Tonya, hello, good evening. And to discuss about life and things that could improve the way we live our life. And welcome also for my from my friends, the flies. There's so many here, it's just unbelievable. But I don't want to kill them. I don't want to use the we call it DDT in Italian. So I'll just bear with them. It's quite good that I quite like to be tickled by them. This evening we are going to be talking. Hello, Daniela. Welcome. Hello. This evening we're going to be talking about conscience. What is conscience and how we are affected by it, and the different kind of conscience, because there isn't just one conscience. Hello, Paula. Let's wait a few more moments. Hey, Evelyn. Hello. How are you? And by the way, Evelyn, you know, you are always more than welcome to be my guest. So anytime you want to pop on, even now or later on, do it. And yes, we're going to be talking. You might not know what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about. We will be talking about conscience. What is it? How it affects us, and how many different kind of conscience we have. But let me tell you what I mean. So we have a common ground upon which we can discuss and relate to each other. And anytime you have a comment or a question, please write it. I love challenging questions. If I don't know the answer, I'm going to tell you, no problem, I don't know the answers. But somebody else might know something that I don't know, that we don't know. And somebody might be sharing something that sheds a light on what we are talking about. As a matter of fact, I'm truly convinced that life is a journey of discovery, and none of us has got the truth in their pockets, right? And even truth, absolute truth, doesn't really exist. We know what works for us, what it's proven to be truer than something else, but absolute truth, I truly believe that doesn't exist. And truth, as a matter of fact, is evolving. And we are all different localized expression of one consciousness. That's why I very much love the interaction during the Facebook Live. Every time that I interact with you, I gain and learn a phenomenal amount of information, and because it's an exchange. And every time I grow, and I hope everybody does from these interactions. Let me say hello to who else is coming here. Hello, Paola. Okay. Ciao, Graziella. Welcome. Good evening. Hello, Samran. Greeting of peace to you too. Ciao, Katia. Hello, welcome. Hi, Luca. I'll listen to your wisdom and join you in a bit. Thank you. Whenever you want, Emily. Whenever you want. Hello, Carolina. Hello, Mariella. Hello. Okay. I decided to talk about conscience today because it's a follow-up from the last conversations that we had on Wednesday. We were talking about family and the importance of family and the harmony in the family. Hello, Nevin. Good evening, Luca. It's always some power. Oh, thank you so much to listen to you. Thank you. I appreciate it very much. I'm honored. So we were talking about the importance of family and harmony in the family. And conscience, it's very much related to family and to us and to life in general. In fact, the three major non-consciousness, it's a different, consciousness is something different. The two different conscience that we will be talking about tonight, although there's many others, they are the personal conscience, the family conscience, and the universal conscience. But what is conscience? Conscience is that which gives us a sense. Hey Wendy, welcome, great seeing you here. Conscience is that which that gives us a sense of right or wrong, and a very deep, at a very deep inner level. Conscience is based on, very often, of unspoken and many times subconscious rules and regulations. And every system in life has got a conscience. The three major systems that we will be talking about, it's our own personal systems. We have our personal conscience, our family as a conscience, and the universe itself. Although even a group of friends, every group has got a conscience. So a group of friends has got their conscience. A group of work colleagues have got a conscience, because every group, and by group it's even for a group, I mean even just two people. Hello, Antonella. Even just two people, when they interact, they become a system. So what does it mean? It means that unconsciously there are some rules that are made of expectations, or the two parts of these systems that dictate the fact that one of the parts, or both of them, according to the fact that either obey the rule, and the rules are just the expectations of the system, the other person of the group of person, according to the fact that we adhere to their expectations, we always swing between feeling guilty if we don't adhere to the rules of the group, if we don't fulfill their expectation, or innocence. Okay? This is fundamental to know. Why? Because when we grew up, we were kids, we were children, and we needed to be nourished by our parents, and we needed love. So the very first thing that we learned, they were the unspoken rules of the family conscience. So the conscience of the family, of any group, basically is made up by the unspoken rules. The unspoken rules in a family, in each family they may vary, but they may be in some families that dad is the one that dictates what has to be done or what must not be done. Maybe mom in that system, it's a bit more relaxed. So we know a child is so sensitive, so susceptible to these unconscious dynamics, that knows and learns very quickly how to behave towards his father, so that he gets what he wants from his father and from his mother, or from both of them, right? So the family conscious, it's the first consciousness that the child is exposed to. When we grow up, it's not necessary if we want to live our life not autonomously, and I mean in relation to our family rules, or maybe to our friends group, or whatever our friends expect from us, or our culture expects from us. And that's what happens for most of the people, is that they grow up and there is conflict inside. They swing in life between being innocent and guilty, and they don't even know why. And that happens because every time they interact with someone, unless they fulfill their expectations, they feel guilty and they feel innocent. Hey Pamela, welcome, great seeing you here. And when they feel innocence when they adhere to, when they do what is expected from the conscience of the system. There is one thing, and I mentioned it at the end of the last live on Wednesday, which I want to carry on and build on that. It's that, and this is, I believe, to be really the fundamental for us to understand. In order to become real adults, and by adults I mean parents of ourselves, and figuratively, we can still love them, of course, and be very much connected to our parents, but we cut energetically the umbilical cord. We have to become the generators of our emotional life, and we have to become autonomous. That means that we have to build up and create our own personal conscience, and that requires work. This group, with all the lives that each one of us does, Pamela, me, and all the other speakers, they are all aimed at doing exactly this, to allow us to realize what we truly love in life and we want to do, and what is it that we don't like. So in other words, we know ourselves. The Greeks had always know it. Know thyself. It's at the base of everything. If we don't do this, if we don't work on ourselves, again, nothing wrong with that. There's plenty of people on the planet that they still don't do that, and they're not interested in doing that, although they are at the mercy of the rules of the conscience of their family or the culture, of their culture, of the group of friends or the different groups of friends. But let me give you an example that you can really relate to what I mean by different conscience and different groups, rules and regulations. Let's say you are friends with, you have two groups of friends, right? One group of friends is likes to steal. I exaggerate to give an idea, but likes to steal, likes to swear, likes to behave in ways that are very, very unconventional, and I would dare to say disregarding of society, right? But you are also friends with a group where is the opposite, where they're very respectful of people, maybe they're very spiritual, they would never swear, they would never steal, so on and so forth. Now, you can imagine that in these two different groups, there's different rules to be able to belong to the group. And this is important. We always want to be innocent and adhere to the conscience of a group, because we want to belong to that group. Because if we are guilty, and being guilty in this example would mean if with the group of friends that they steal and they swear and they live a certain kind of life which is disrespectful of other people, we most probably get more brownie points, meaning we belong to the group if we have a certain attitude towards people, if we do what the group does. Because if we behave politely towards other people, we don't belong to the group. And what does it mean? We have a dirty conscience, but it's the conscience of the group. Can you see what I mean? And the opposite is when we are relating physically, or even just thinking of the other group. Because when we're thinking of being with the other group, whenever we think of being disrespectful or swearing, we feel guilty, because the discordance between the rules of the conscience of the group and the way I behave. So I'm guilty, so I don't belong to the group. So this is where it becomes very confusing. And that's why people many times, they don't know who they are, and they have difficulty to recognize and to handle all these conflicting emotions, because their parents would like them to behave to a certain kind of conscience. They have certain moral rules and regulations. The school has got a different set of rules and regulations, a different conscience, and so on and so forth. That's why I truly believe that it's important to understand all these dynamics, to contextualize them, and then the real organic work is to question ourselves. What is my true consciousness? In other words, what is that I truly value, and what is from this group, with my family group, with my group, this group of friends, the other group of friends, my school group, what is that I personally, and this is when discerning instead of judging comes into place. Meaning, instead of thinking, is it right or is it wrong, we truly go in ourselves, in our body, and we ask ourselves, how do I feel about what they expect of me? And how do I feel about what they value and cherish? Hello, Sylvia. Welcome. And then we know, we listen, our body will tell us. And then we start building, literally, like, imagine as if you were building a mansion, something physical, brick by brick. We know, okay, this, I like it, and this value, this thing that I value, which could be, let's say, I don't know, loyalty or honesty, it's something that I can project it or utilize it in any group, any of this group, in when I relate with my parents, so with my family. So I am okay using this parameter with my family, with the consciousness of my family, with this group of friends, with that group of friends, with school friends. Do I make any sense, by the way, guys? Because here I'm talking, and after a while, a question mark pops in my head, and I'm thinking, am I making any sense? Let me know if what I am saying, it makes sense. And please let me know if there's anything you want to share. Tell me. Evelyn, oh, Evelyn, you want to come up? Come here. Oh, hello, Evelyn.
You're making perfect sense.
Oh, good. Thank you so much.
I was thinking, I'm the friend that curses now instead.
Thank you so much. You're the friend.
Good evening.
Hello, Evelyn. So good. I'm glad I'm making sense. Thank you, Samra, for letting me know. And yes, I mean, it can really be confusing, you know, because we want to please everybody. We want to, in a way, I think deep down, we all want to be everybody's best friend. But sometimes we can't. So it is important to know that our first and foremost relationship is with ourselves. So what is that I truly value? What is that? How is my conscious? What am I conscious about within myself? And then, of course, easier said than done sometimes to resonate with other groups or other people consciousness. And that's when we have to be able to face being guilty. And by being guilty, I mean being judged negatively from other people because we don't fulfill their expectations. Evelyn, have you ever unfulfilled somebody's expectations, but you did it conscious of the fact that that's...
Oh, I'm quite sure growing up, definitely. And I think it's a time when we're growing up of finding ourselves. And some people just take a wee bit longer growing up. And certainly you don't want to be the black sheep.
Yes.
Or as a friend once said to me, they hung out with the bullies rather than being bullied. But as you said something there a while ago about a consciousness when there's two or more, and it's always the case that when two or more speak of it, it becomes a huger consciousness. So really, it's best to, and feeling was the thing that you had also said there too, Luca, what feels right. It just takes us a while to find ourselves. And I actually, when I was at school, was a bit like that. I was this group, I was with this group. I didn't know what did I like, where did I want to fit in, and I was always back and forth, could never stay with one. But you find, again, as you say, expectations. If I have an expectation, if someone has an expectation on me, they'll probably have an expectation on them, on how, you know, expectations, a road to very much disappointment.
Yes, yes. And it's all so quick and so unconscious, and so unspoken, but at a deeper level, we truly do feel it. Like, yeah, I think it's almost something innate, something, a trait that we in survival instinct that we come equipped with, I guess. Because imagine when we are, imagine a child, and if you truly look at a child, sometimes when an adult relate to him or her, um, this is totally my assumption, by the way, like everything that comes out from this mouth. But many times I had the impression that you can see that the child, the essence, the soul, it's if it could truly verbalize what it wants to say, it may say, what you're asking of me or what you want here, it for me doesn't make sense, but I'll comply anyway because I love you. And they do it out of blind love because they're so grateful for having received life, but also it's a survival strategy. The soul of the child knows that if he goes F you to his parents, my God, it risks a lot. Seriously, you know, if he was kicked out the house or not nourished with love, which is the biggest nutrient he needs, he's gonna be in big trouble. You know, and I think we still subconsciously we're still so afraid of not belonging to people. Of why do we say yes to people when we would like to say no? Because we don't want them to leave the room. We want to keep them in the room, don't we?
Yeah, and I think guilt was a big thing there, because it was a discussion that I had with a few people during the week where they didn't want to say no, or they couldn't say no, because if they said no, they would feel guilty because they were assuming what the other person was thinking. You're very good at that, Patience.
Yeah, you understand.
I'm like, get off his nose.
The house of flies is this.
Yeah, where they don't want to say no because they will feel guilty.
Exactly. And because the feeling is so strong, is so real. You know, it's easy from the outside to tell somebody, oh, don't worry, just say no, just do what you want to do. It's all in your head. But for them, it's not just in the head. It's because they feel it at a very organic level. That it's the most uncomfortable feelings. So it's not so easy. I mean, it might be liberating after we actually do it, but it's not easy. And some people, you know, because they want to be innocent to the eyes of the parents or to the eyes of society, they never discovered that they never do what they truly like. Because, you know, innocence is the attribute. Child is pure and innocent, but when we become adults and autonomous, we have to face guilt, and we have not to face guilt. I mean, we can't grow up because we'll always piss somebody off. We will in this very superficial way, but for some people it's a big deal. We'll always be one reciprocate and satisfy people's expectation, but that's life. We have to take a position many times.
Surely. I am under no illusion that I am quite sure I get on people's nerves, and sometimes people get on mine, but this is all part of Luca, you know, where
Yes.
I've always said if there's something that I could say, and I see that it has happened in society here in the North, do get of, not to offend people, but sheep, because they are afraid. So they move in droves, in flocks, because they are afraid,
Yes.
even though they don't agree with something, but to stand out. I kind of like being in relationships, any sort of relationship, when we stay there through fear.
Yes.
Because if we step outside, then there's more fear. What we believe is more fear as well.
Absolutely. Yes. I'd like you just remind me of something. I just want to say hello to Giovanna, hello Chiara. I can read the comments today.
Good.
Oh, but let's see. Well, Wendy says, but isn't that how life goes on? we either carry on just keeping our truth quiet because we are so attacked silently or loudly, or speak out and get. Yes, that's our life goes, exactly. And this is the choice. Keep our truth quiet and not express it because to be or loudly, or we get blasted. Exactly. This is the choice. Yes. So which one, again, I'm convinced there's no right or wrong, good or bad. Different people can live however they want. The only thing that I would like to have us consider is that sometimes fear, which it could be regarded as false evidence appearing real, meaning it's an illusion, it's a projection. Sometimes it's our projection is bigger, more catastrophic. What actually would be if we own our power, is we speak out our truth. And sometimes the consequences are not only beneficial for us, but beneficial for others. Talking about saying no, saying yes when we want to say no, we are not serving anybody or keeping our truth inside, because we are betraying ourselves, because we actually don't honor what we would like to do, but I would betray also the other person. So I betrayed two people. If I say no when the other person expects me to say yes, or if I give another opinion, I've been truthful to myself. I step in my own power, and believe me, then when you tap into a very strong source of energy, which is universal, that's the universal consciousness, and which is not moral, is not based on morality at all, is based on the other good of everybody involved. But also I give the opportunity to the other person to be true to himself and to tell me no next time. Because if I always say yes when I want to say no, I am subconsciously, indirectly hooking the other person, meaning I'm playing your game, but be careful. When I ask you for something, I expect you to lie to me, say yes when you mean no. If I step in my power and say, you know what, and there's a million ways of doing, if you don't want to say no blindly because I don't feel like it, maybe it's the most genuine thing, but you could say, I actually have a priority, so moral of the story, no. But I'm giving you the opportunity and the freedom to tell me no next time. Does it make sense? So it's a freeing act.
It is. And again, it's one of the comments it said about a fear of being blasted, or is this real life, if it's silently or verbally. A lot of that we have built up in our own mind as well. And I believe the reason why we build that up in our own mind is because of perhaps who we have been surrounding ourselves with.
Yes, you're right. Yes.
Or what I have done in the past. Have I been ridiculing people? Has all the people around me been, oh, look at this person? So we can only build that fear up based on evidence that we have been surrounded by or existed in. And if there's any one bit of advice of my truth that I could offer this evening, is when you actually step and raise your consciousness and know that what you're feeling is your truth. There is nothing to fear. There is nothing to fear.
No.
But it's just taking that wee step, because everything else is built up from past some road along the line.
Yes. Thank you. And summarize writing, we can carry on like this only for some time. But once we discover our authentic self, we can carry on with those who are in absolute clash with our true self. We will eventually part ways. And then she keeps on saying, if I keep saying yes, if I keep saying yes when I want to say no, it will slowly eat away at my inner authenticity and add to my confusion. Amen, Samran. Yes, absolutely. That's exactly the way it goes. Yes, because when we build up, when we are coming to build and to know our own conscience, that is the most powerful one. If we then transgress our own conscience, then we are really betraying our authenticity. That's it. And then yes, everything becomes confusing.
And as you shift, as what the comment said there too, you because you're probably in like no man's land, or you can't find yourself, or am I with this group or am I in that group, because the vibrations or the frequencies or the thoughts that we're putting out, where I guess we're like all over the place, we're bouncing around until we just come to know self. For me today, and eventually, without the fear that those that are not on that same consciousness, it doesn't make them wrong or right, or you wrong or right. It does eventually drift away. And you'll actually be completely surrounded with less and less of that. Because
Yes.
as the clearer you become about your truth, the clearer everything else and the people that surround you become in your life, and there's less confusion. You have less people talking about this and this, and most people are very much similar on the same frequency of chat.
Yes. Thank you for pointing that out. Thank you so much. Michela, she's saying, and in Italian, it's such an interesting topics. Yeah, Michela, tomorrow evening at 6:30 Italian time. Michela, domani sera alle 6:30 ne parliamo di queste cose. Hello Clemente. Hello Deborah. Hello Simone. And yes, what you said, Evelyn, it's extremely fundamental in living the life we want to live. Because as you said, when we start to singing our song, to drumming our drum, we will then resonate with our peer group, with our tribe, and that's very powerful. You're right. We set our own consciousness.
Well, this is an example here, Luca, because
Yes.
our past, we would never have crossed. It wasn't the time
Yes.
for our past to cross until recently.
Yes.
Because there's no way that we would have ever met at any other time, until, and this is how things happen. You just let go, and what is to come in and about comes in and about.
Yes. I totally agree. Yes. You make me reflect now upon my own journey. For example, I have been talking so openly about what I'm talking about now on this group before, although I have never resonated so much unless with one or two people that I was dealing with when I was doing groups face to face. But in this group, I can really feel, and with you, for example, it was instant, that there is a resonance. In other words, the rules of the game, so to speak, to put it lightly, of your conscience, they're very much similar to mine. And yes, and there's a resonance. And
there's little fear. You see, there's no fear attached
yeah,
to speaking your truth.
exactly.
And sometimes that's what, and we get comfortable with that then too, Luca. So when we have to step out, and I know that for myself, when I go onto my public page, it can be scary because a lot of people now are coming in and they might be bumping off a frequency that they just stumbled upon. They're like, wow, what is that load of nonsense? And that's of course that triggers off when you knowing that there is going to be someone watching, there is going to be someone that it will absolutely irritate their skin, their ears, their eyes to hear what it is. And I have no doubt about that. But sometimes again, that needs to happen to keep to not allow fear to
Yes.
to hold people back. But nor again with people's truth or knowledge or consciousness, would you step into somewhere we know this environment,
Yes.
do you know what I mean? To be
Oh,
talking.
yes. You almost develop an inner guidance, an inner radar that tells you, yeah, particular group, whatever that could be in that moment in time of that person, it's the reason that the discordance is in vibrational. It's so much that let's keep clear. Yes, I totally agree. And yes, and the more I think we are clear, and the more we are authentic, and we know conscience, and of course, the more we get publicly out, like how we're doing, of course, the more we are exposed. And yes, there will be people that they absolutely doing, and they're like, yes, you're really resonating with the authentic part of me. But maybe some other people, no, no, they will be envy, they will be pissed off about what they say, because you are challenging what they all done, their belief, their mental structure. And definitely, well, I know myself, I've done it many times, and now I'm getting to terms with it. I'm getting a little bit more gentle. It's my journey. But yes, I can piss people off, not so much gentle, but in the past, really. Oh, you laugh, but do you know what?
A gentle, yes.
Oh, okay. It was about 3 years ago, 3 summers ago. I did this talk. It was a summer I used to do many talks in many places. And this is an example of how different conscience can clash, different rules in conscience. I did this talk in a place, in this place, and everything seemed to be okay. You know, we chatted, we discussed, and blah, blah, blah. Okay. The day after, I got a text, a phone call from one of the participants. Boy, oh boy, was she pissed off or what? I was like, she felt attacked, and I mean, you really, she was like mad at me, and I was like thinking, oh, what did I? And so, anyway, so it personally, and attacked basically because everything I was saying, it was completely against everything she had believed up to that day. So here comes somebody that she'd never seen before, that a friend of her dragged her along to that talk. So that adds to being pissed off as well. You think I wasn't even looking for that. I thought it was just a light, whatever evening. And there goes somebody that is talking about how useless to judge and to compare and be competitive and so on and so forth comes along. And you see what I mean? And she felt sick. I mean, really, she was like, she was distressed. I mean, now well, we haven't seen since, but we're still in contact, and you know, we have cleared up very soon everything. But that just to tell you that yes, I mean, the conscience of two people or two groups can be so different that instantly you can just ignite a bomb.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There's a lady, a wonderful lady, she does Reiki healing. But she also goes to her church.
Mm.
And she was telling me that she went to her church one Sunday and this gentleman came up and said, "You're proclaiming that you're a healer. There's only one healer, and that's Jesus." So she went into defending herself, and I said, "But you see, there was no need to defend really yourself. That man wasn't going to listen. You are in an environment where Jesus is the healer, and you're not, and he can't possibly hear that you're not proclaiming to be the healing, that the healing comes as we are the vessels."
Yes.
So when environment where and their truth is their truth,
Yes.
and they will take, even have to open your mouth, but they will take offense from something that is not right, and they will have no problem to ask you to confront. But that's why I always believe, if I'm going into someone's environment, I understand, and that's your opinion, and that's your right to be right.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. And yes. Yes, to realize that each one of us has got her own conscience. And that's what is driven them. That's what makes them feel this is right, this is appropriate, this is not appropriate. And yes, and to be respectful of it, it is, at least, I mean, you sometimes we can't really avoid pissing them off, because if they're very locked into judgment, they like, when I talk, I normally I'm very careful nowadays in saying, by the way, everything that comes out from this mouth is my opinion, no more, no less, definitely not the truth. Test it, and if you think it's banana, tell me, or don't tell me. I don't care. Think of a charlatan, whatever you want. But and then I say, I invite you to, maybe, all right? But most of the time, I get somebody during or after the talk that tell me I must or I mustn't. and I know this, if there's one word that I'm very careful not to say is you must, you should, or you shouldn't. Unless you want to go from point A to point B, you should. Make sense. Like, for example, if you want to, you should really forgive them. Then I say, that's what I mean. But otherwise, everybody is entitled to do what they want. But if somebody, if their conscience is about everything is has to be this way, otherwise it's wrong, you may piss them off very easily. But as you say, when they confront you, to have the humility and the awareness to say, okay, this is just to each other. And of course, I can only say, I'm really sorry, I apologize. I didn't mean to clash with what you believe. Because then, if we truly are know that we are the same, that it is, for God's sake, it's just, who cares if you think one thing and I think another thing? I can love you just the same. Does it make sense? And I could just, I love you. I regard this as being different, but it's no big deal.
Yeah. And a way that I see the thing is that because everything is that one divine consciousness, that one energy, just operating on different wee bits, that perhaps at times, whatever is residual within us, any old fears, any old doubts, anything that has yet to be cleared within us, if we have mastered our thoughts and our thinking about this, sometimes it will find its avenue. The ego, the lower vibration, will perhaps find its way through another avenue, which could be another person. But it's I try to see it, if those things happen, as something that is still within me, that it's found its way back. Well, people think, God, how did that person come back from the past? How did that end up coming back? I believe that it is part of me. So how do I wish then, if that's that part of me shouting at you now, Evelyn, to bring you back to doubt, that's it, allow it to be right, and send love and be at peace. Just be at peace.
Yes, it's great you mentioned peace. You must have been resonating with Mariella's mind, because Mariella, she's saying, I personally think that if we I guess she means I personally think that if we expect to live in harmony with ourselves and all people, having good relationships, we have to be honest, direct, and say no when we have different opinions, and have mind honesty. Yes, and be honest. Yes.
Mm-hmm. And when you have peace in yourself, no matter what anyone is saying, those, and it's not, when I say those, you don't want to single out people, but someone that has not found inner peace, they will find it very difficult to hear your opinion on anyone.
Yeah.
So by trying to, but listen to this, but listen, but let me explain to you, but let me show you, you're just getting the skin even crawling all the more. And that's just the part of our ego that needs to explain. No, let me explain this to you. Unless someone says to me, Evelyn,
yes,
would you explain to me, and genuinely mean it, not, how, just explain to me how all this energy stuff works. I want to hear about it. I'm curious. Then, okay. But as someone had said to me one day, and I told you this story, Evelyn, I just want to understand why you posted that video the other day. Now, they didn't want to hear, they didn't want to understand, they wanted me to hear their viewpoint. So when I explained to them, it just went, no, this is what you should have done, So.
Yes, yes. Mariella, by the way, she meant intellectual honesty. Yes, opinion, and to have intellectual honesty. Thank you, Mariella. Yes, Evelyn. Very often, people, yes, they don't really want to learn. They don't want to listen. What they want is you to adhere with their rules. They want you. They are assessing you to see if you are gonna be innocent or guilty according to their conscience, to their rules. And so they know if you are guilty, you're out. Or we fight, and let's see who wins, but I want me to win, and then you're in, otherwise you're out.
And
Because
if that's the case, so that's a blessing. Sorry for interrupting you, Luca, there.
no,
It's a blessing. If they say you're out, count your blessings.
yes, you're right. Yes, why would you want to be somewhere like that? Yes, but you see, for some people, it takes courage. It takes big courage, doesn't it, to be on their own? Because not to belong, it means we may be standing outside in the cold on our own with nobody to talk to, and it's scary. For many people it's very scary, and especially in what we are talking about, normally it's people that they're not truly aware of who they truly are, meaning maybe they've never contemplated of being spiritual beings. So the only company they think they can have, it's human company. So in that case, you can't really piss everybody off. You can you? Otherwise, you're truly going to be lonely. So it takes a lot of courage and awareness to know that, okay, I am standing in my own truth and authenticity. And even if nobody physically on the planet agrees with me and they tell me out, you don't belong here, I'm okay. I'm okay because I'm one with life, with something that you cannot see, but I can feel. But hey, how many people can truly feel that?
Yeah, because if you could be on your own and be miserable and angry, go by your feeling. Go by
Yeah.
your feeling. You know, if when you feel most alive. I asked my son actually when I had him in the car there a while ago, I says, when are you most happiest? Because I try to minimize how much I talk in the car too. He said, Mommy, you're annoying me.
Shut up.
He says, I don't know, but I thought maybe I'll leave that wee thought with him that he could think about it maybe himself and get back whenever he feels like it.
Samra is writing, but if I have a problem with what you are saying, or if it doesn't resonate with me, I can quietly leave. I don't have to criticize you or start an argument unless you're saying something totally out of line, which I doubt you will. Yes, absolutely. That's one very, very honorable scenario. Yes. If you have a problem with what I or somebody is saying, yes. There's no need for criticizing them. Yes. Just, yes. You can
Is
just
that
leave.
an expectation? I love these questions too, Luca. Is that an
Yes.
expectation when we say, I doubt you will get out of line? So, is that an expectation that I hold on someone that there's a certain line that I know you're going to toe? And I'm not challenging the question, by the way, but I love them questions. Does that make sense?
Yes. But what is your question? Because you said about if
When the comment was that they can quietly leave if
yes,
something didn't resonate.
exactly.
If some, but the last wee bit was, I don't believe that you would
Yeah,
say
exactly. We
something.
decided to start the line unless you're saying something totally out of line, which I doubt you will.
Okay.
Yes.
So the
Yeah.
totally out of line, you see, this is what a lot of group have. What is totally out of line for
Of
someone?
course, it becomes for the conscience of the group or the
Yes,
person. Exactly.
yes,
This is the exactly.
yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There is yeah, exactly. That's great you bring it out. Because if we stepped out of line, we are out. Um, hello, Ellen. Welcome. Hello, Mirella. In fact, that's something I want to point out. Hello, Calogero. This is something I want to tell you. One of the reasons why, for example, me personally, I haven't started and I've got no intention of starting a group is because there is a property of every group, which is a morphological property, which is directly connected with conscience. Sorry about this, which is this. Each group it's a live thing. And each group, because for the nature of a group is defined and it will try spokenly or unspokenly, to protect himself and to defend himself, so to speak, by other groups or outside entities. That is taken into consideration. So yes, but it's that, there we go again. It's about unspoken rules and regulation conscious. What is accepting in a group and what is not accepting. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely.
And
Yes.
I would have that, I suppose, in my group as well too, a form of protection too.
Yes, with every group you have to, because it's your, let's say, moral or preferential. We could use every term we want. Thank you, Samra. The expectation helps. Yeah. So yes, it's every group has to have some kind of rules and regulation. Every system has to. Otherwise, it couldn't exist. Every system is made by different components that they interact, and there's some dynamics in between them. Absolutely, yes. And there's no escape from that. No escape.
And then that's where the feeling goes. If this feels right, and when they say if it resonates with you, if it feels right, well then that's the place. There's a lot of, with spirituality, there's a whole lot of groups,
Yes.
a whole lot of things. And I believe when people are trying to find themselves, their path, there's that much, one saying this and one saying that. And it takes a wee while then too to find what feels right. What
Yes.
feels right.
It does. It's a challenging task, I guess. And Wendy is saying, I had a family outing today. There was no point even attempting to share my opinion. Question: do we just stay quiet or appear to cause discomfort with our own opinion? Question mark. Does that make sense? Let me read this again. Wendy had an family outing today. There was no point even attempting to share my opinion, right? Yes. Question is, do we just stay quiet or appear to cause discomfort with our own opinion? So are you asking if it's better, more appropriate to stay quiet in your maybe different opinion? I personally believe it's a matter of choice. Like today, I think if that's what you did and you didn't say anything and you stayed quiet, is because, as you wrote, you felt there was no point of saying anything, I guess. And on that light, you maybe next time to try and shake the waters if you want, or maybe you feel again, like Evelyn was saying, how do you feel about it? I would say, because I like to believe phenomenologically in perfection, if you didn't do it, Wendy, today, you didn't feel it was appropriate. Otherwise, you probably would have done it. If you feel that you want to do it, then do it and push yourself and do it. And when you say, for me, family is the biggie. Yeah, family, it's heavyweight lifting, isn't it? Spiritually.
I was family, and we were very close. A dinner out a while ago, but the conversation came up, and it was about a discussion of a marriage that had ended, and this is what the topic was going about. I did not interject with anything, but how they were speaking about it, and you see, because they weren't consciously aware,
yes,
they would mention funny things or joke about this or that. And I just said quietly, I says, look, guys, I was once the person that you are talking about now. I says, I was spoke about around a family gathering. And I says, I know you might find it funny, but we'll change, let's talk about something else now. Because I was, when my marriage, around people's dinner table. So they probably, a part of them was like, right, I'll chill out, Evelyn, we're only doing. But I didn't want that person being the energy or the focus, because to me, that wasn't right. But to remind them, I was there. Do you remember when that was me, guys?
Yes. That is so, the consequences of what you did, they're so huge. Every time that somebody speaks, think Really. When we think highly, it means with tenderness and with love towards somebody, we are sending the vibration. And also, if we judge them, criticize them, and even so, if we speak about it, and if a group of people criticize and judge negatively somebody that is not there, it is influencing them. So yes, you have stopped something, a process that could have gone consequences, not just in the here and now for the person receiving all this attack. To me, negative judgment is no more, no less than literally a psychic attack. But also, they created consequences from themselves. They're judging a part of themselves. We are all ones. And that would have boomeranged back to them. And it's amazing.
Yeah, and that's the thing where people, their intention is never malice. It's entertainment. Expense.
It's true, you're right. Most of the time, it's not even nastiness, but word entertainment.
Yes.
And this is when to also open ourselves up to the third kind of consciousness. We talk about our consciousness, family of group consciousness, cultural consciousness, but there's universal consciousness. Now, Evelyn, you stood up in the name of universal consciousness, which is the consciousness that acts not based on moral value and judgment. It doesn't give a banana divinity about whatever we believe, but it's about the highest good of everybody involved. So definitely it's not pro-violence, physical violence, but not even psychic violence and negative judging. So I believe you were an instrument for universal consciousness, conscience, also consciousness, but in this way, universal conscience that says certain things are not appropriate. It's not question right or wrong, because it's not for the highest good of everyone involved. Because the consequence would have been, or the person being judged, psychically attacked, the person attacking them, but also on Evelyn. Because if Evelyn didn't stood up, she would have been witnessed and she would have participated systematically in something which is not for the highest good of everybody involved, not even her, nobody, not even me or us, because she wouldn't have shared this with us. We wouldn't have gained so much more awareness from it. Sorry, I just want to read this. Wendy says, for me, set in an atmosphere of unreal. In an atmosphere of unreal. Ah, you mean today, I guess. Samra says, yes, absolutely. Can't keep quiet when something so out of line is being said. Yes. But you know, Samra, you can be quiet, and Evelyn, wonderful that you did it, but so many people don't have the courage to doing it. And again, here, there's no judgment towards them, but it's not easy.
And it's, again, it is with family, because you are wide open for, oh my God, you have changed. You'd have been the person that would have started all this crack a few years ago on talking like this. You know, you've changed.
And it's betrayal. You betrayed them. Because the unspoken rule of any conscience, and especially every group of family, is if you don't think like us, if fun is your idea of fun is different from ours, you're betraying us. So there's all these unspoken rules that are driving the show.
And it kind of sets boundaries as well. You know, when you are in conversation, it's something that, because I probably triggered a memory of when it wasn't so pleasant for me, maybe when Evelyn's about, we'll not speak about this. I'm quite sure it'll be spoke about when I'm not about, but that's all right. That's all right, whatever they choose. Whatever they choose to do. And as I was saying to someone, we were speaking the other day about looking after the grandkids or the nieces or nephews, and even if you have time for yourself and you'd planned to do something and the next thing it's landed on you, it is okay to say, no, I will another day if you give me a bit more notice. So now my brother or sister seldom rings me, which is, that's okay. Now I can ring them and say, do you want to send the children over?
Wendy say it's all such a lie. What is such a lie? I don't know what she referred to. Such a lie. Ah, you mean probably don't speak up when we feel like speaking up. I'm not sure what you meaning by saying it's such a lie. By the way, guys, we've got 1 minute. I'm asking, please. everybody, write even just one word or a sentence, brief sentence. If even you're watching this not live, whenever you watch it, write one sentence or something you're taking away from this conversation, something that struck your chord or it stayed in your mind, anything. And when they say, yes, I would have stayed, someone say, yes, I would have stayed quiet 5 years ago. Now she speaks up, but before. And when you say, are you playing the game by shutting up? Oh, yes. Are we playing the game by shutting up? Yes, Wendy. It's if you feel, for example, if Evelyn felt what was going on and if she didn't say done anything, yeah, I mean, again, no judgment, but she would have played the game. She would have dragged into the systemic dysfunctional game. Wendy, am I clear? So that's why it's important. If when we know what our conscience is, we want to be clear with our conscience, it's important to stand up for what we feel is right. Otherwise, yes, we become, we collude, we become complete, I don't know, we become partners in crime, so to speak, it gives an idea, with the gang. Yes, you understood. Thank you so much. Now we have to go. But I like to read everything. Oriela said the word consciousness, it's bigger and total consideration. Yes, conscience, I mean, no consciousness. Because you're right, consciousness, it's big, it's awareness, it's a different word. But they're similar, conscience. Evelyn, thank you so much.
Thank you, Luca. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. It was wonderful as always. Hello, goodbye, everybody. And we'll see each other on Wednesday. I can't remember the title of the live, but I'll post it 2 days before on Monday. I love you very much.
Bye-bye.
Ciao. Have a good evening.
Bye.
Ciao.